my niece that graduated from Citadels in the military, she is now signed up for a half Ironman.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so
This is the
she's
Grow
training for
Business
that,
Podcast
and
with Cory
it's
Mosley.
like good for you. So
Now, I have run. I have a medal.
Do you?
Yes, I have run 10K. How long is 10K?
6.2 or something. 6.2 miles, something like that.
What's a 5K?
Half
that? Yeah.
3.1.
I've run a 5K. I'd like to say I don't want to mislead anybody.
Right.
I don't want to be fact checked. But 5K, I'm certain. I don't think it was a 10K.
Yeah. See, my philosophy.
Because what's the half a mile? Not half a mile. The half a marathon.
So half marathon is 13.1.
Yeah.
Full marathon is 26.2
Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are all legit.
Yeah,
right?
definitely 5K. I did a 5K.
5K,
now,
10K, those are all legit. Yeah.
Now I will say that I did get passed though by a woman in a stroller with her babies. I didn't want to point that out. She did kind of go. Well, I mean, I was at a walking point.
Correct.
Like you're running for a little bit, and then now you're walking, and then but she kind of. Now I'm gonna say she kind of had a leg up here because she had the support of the stroller, and with wheels and stuff.
Right.
Like it wasn't like a broken down rickety stroller. It was like a fancy stroller.
Like it was a running.
With like yes,
right.
with
like 3-wheeler
Michelin tires on that bad boy.
Right.
Yeah, so she had propulsion. Yeah.
She had big old 22s on.
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Oh, the music stopped. Well, the music stops. That means it's time to get quasi serious. That's right. You are listening to the Grow Business Podcast. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. And I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, LG007. Lon Graham is here.
Voice of reason.
And off to a good start.
Yeah.
He's taken my advice. PIP programs work. You put a guy on the PIP, he comes back, he resets. Everything's sounding good and crisp. I'm talking about none other than producer Willie H is here.
Hit the buttons, William.
Yeah, sounding good, crispy.
Nice and locked in.
Yeah, like we're going to the next, marching towards 100.
There we go.
That's
Absolutely.
what I'm talking about.
Are we closer to 100 than we are 50? Not quite yet.
No, I don't know the actual.
I think we're somewhere.
I think we just keep showing up.
Yeah.
And that's it. I pulled the switcheroo on you today because I needed coffee.
Okay.
And I can't suck hot coffee through an aluminum straw.
Yeah, that would hurt. That's painful.
Although they say you're supposed to, if you use the straw,
right,
that's how you keep your teeth from staining. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great
we're not
idea.
properly set up to see. I give Willie Yates credit, and then I got to take it back. When no Precision for Growth book has been placed here. This is what happens when we record in the morning. Everyone still needs coffee and all of these other things here. But
we're trying something new today.
Nonetheless, we're happy to have you here for another episode. If this is your first time, if you've found us on the search engines or on the podcast engines, we're certainly happy to have you here. That's right, at this podcast. As is in the name, we try to make it obvious. I didn't go too pithy with the name here. Like some people have pithy names that you don't quite know what call her daddy or whatever it is. I don't know exactly. I mean, it's very popular. I don't know what it's about though.
Right.
But we're a Grow Business Podcast.
We are,
and we're dedicated to one thing: helping you as a small business owner, grow your business.
Yeah.
We do that based upon my 5 pillars of business growth, which are
marketing, sales, operations.
You never put them in the right order. You never put them in the right order.
Well,
what is the correct order?
Oh, I don't know the correct order. I just know.
Oh my goodness.
I know, but I know the 5.
Uh-huh.
They're marketing, sales, mindset, people, and operations.
Okay. Mindset, sales, marketing, people, operation.
That's a test that I'll keep trying.
Okay.
I'll keep taking that test. We got them, though.
Well,
we got them.
Those 5 pillars are based on the simple principle that any business growth challenge really falls into one of those 5 areas. And once you're able to isolate, then you can attack those issues. Identify, isolate, attack. And this is all covered in the book. If you're listening to this, it doesn't matter. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's a book that is going to appear why didn't you bring the stand? It's going to appear position for growth. We're watching it. I don't know if it's going to stand up by itself. Why wouldn't he get the stand
Lean
to
up
go
against
with
that.
it? No, let's see what happens.
Well, because he's trying to stay out of the
Let me
shot.
see. No, well, that's all right. Well, let him be seen. Willie H.
I mean, they don't know what he looks like. He's a
Willie
man.
H.
He's like
Somebody
the
was
wizard,
saying to me the other day, somebody was telling, like, oh, you're always giving him a hard time. Somebody was trying to make a case for you the other day. I don't know where it was. I think it might have been at the conference we were at, Willie H. Yeah, I think that's what it was. They were, you always give him a hard time. He gotta do his job. Come on now. Yes, Position for Growth, available on Amazon.com or CoryMosley.com, of course.
Right.
Get your copy today if you're looking for ways to grow your business. So today's pillar, and I gotta take I gotta take a moment. You didn't know. I mean, you don't know about any of this, but the speaking world and the education world lost somebody recently, and a good friend of mine, Jim Ziegler,
I did not
passed
know
away
that.
a few days ago. At 78, I think age of
Oh my
70. At the
gosh,
age of
yeah.
78, he was battling cancer. But I just, I want to take a moment. He was certainly a very early mentor to me in my career. If you were in the speaking world, you knew, people talk about someone being larger than life.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was larger than life. He had great lines. The show we did, about beware of distractions, disguises, opportunities. That's a line that I got from him. That was one of his signature statements that was really thought-provoking. Most of the people, if you've been listening, know I come from the auto industry, and he was a true legend, not only in the speaking world, but in that industry. Chances are, if you had any type of positive career in that industry, at some point, all roads came through Jim. So he was an early mentor. He's the reason why I was in NSA, National Speaker Association. So, Lon, even the reason we even know each other today, is really because Jim pushed myself and another good friend of mine, Sean Bradley, to get involved in the organization and join, ultimately go get our CSPs. That whole process was all Jim. And this is my Position for Growth is my third book.
Right.
My first book was written released in 2014. The forward to that book is written by Jim Ziegler. So very instrumental early on. Also the first guy who ever paid me professionally to speak.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was already consulting and training, but come speak for an hour and I'm writing you a check.
Okay.
He had started his own conferences, and he's the first guy to write me a check to actually come speak.
Okay.
So just a lot of different things there. So I just want to recognize Jim Ziegler. Look him up if you listen to this, but recognize Jim Ziegler and give my thoughts and prayers to his wife Debbie and his family, his son Zach also, because we definitely lost a legend.
Well, you brought him in. I cut you off, but you brought him in to talk to
NSA. Yes, that's correct.
during COVID when we were doing some of the online programs.
That is correct. Yeah.
Larger than life personality for sure.
Known as the Alpha Dog.
Yeah.
And he let you know he was great. He let you know he was good. And, he had the diamonds and the gold and the whole thing. He played that was his thing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines is he would always tell people if you wanted him to come in, it's $10,000 a day and first class travel because Alpha Dog don't fly in the back of no planes.
That's awesome.
So just a quick shout out to him.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for sharing that.
So no, absolutely. So today, I think what pillar do you think we're going to cover today?
We'll go with operations.
All right. So I'm happy to see that you are back on your losing streak. I am. I shouldn't be pleased for that, but I think just in a little fun way, I'm pleased.
You take pleasure in it. You're not kidding.
So we're not doing that.
Okay.
We haven't talked about sales in a while.
We haven't.
So we hit mindset early on in the year and kind of marketing. We've been hitting, and we were talking about employees and building teams.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd come around that, but I wanted to get into sales in a particularly unique way.
Okay.
Because one of the things I think, and I'm sure you agree with this, is one of these areas that's problematic, I believe, is particularly for small business owners, is follow-up.
Yeah.
and the lack of follow-up that takes place. And a lot of us are guilty of this in a lot of different ways,
Right.
for a lot of different reasons. So I want to jump in. I want to jump in today to talk about follow-up. I want to talk about why. Right. So, what are some of the reasons, to give some cover to that? And then let's look at some solutions for improving that process.
Sure.
And some ways that you can improve that process. Because there's a lot, I mean, from a statistical standpoint, I mean, you're losing money.
Yeah.
48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect after first contact. How ridiculous does that sound, right?
Wow. Almost half.
80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups, but 44% of salespeople give up after 1 follow-up.
Right.
That bad.
Yes. 60% of customers say no 4 times before saying yes. But most businesses stop following up before reaching this stage.
Yeah, I believe that.
Companies that follow up, this is Harvard Business Review here.
Okay.
Companies that follow up within an hour are 7 times more likely to qualify leads than those that wait longer.
So that's inbound. Like you get an inbound. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe that.
Which tracks with Jay Baer. Jay Baer was talking about, his latest book was based on this idea of speed.
Correct. Yeah.
And time and how that is, greater than or will over,
responsiveness is important.
Right.
Sure.
Businesses that use lead nurturing campaigns see a 50% increase in sales at a 33% lower cost, according to Forrester Research.
I believe that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Look, in the very beginning, I mean, even the most professional salespeople miss on some follow-up.
Right.
So it's not, I mean, that's a conversation for everybody, but certainly for small business owners, because you got 100 things going on all at once, and you get an initial contact. And if you don't do something with that,
right.
We've talked about this before, and I don't know what's on the list, so I'll say this and then we'll get to the list. We've talked about this before. A lot of those statistics are based on frequency.
Right.
Like how many times you follow up with somebody. And the reality of it is, my philosophy is timing is more important than frequency, because you got to get them at the right time. What frequency does is it increases the likelihood that you're going to get the timing right.
Time. Yeah. Correct.
So it's really about how can you get in front of somebody when they're when they know what you have,
right?
When they are willing to pay for it, or when they have the money to pay for it and they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Because at the end of the day, folks, we're talking about, depending on the scale and size of your business, you could be talking about thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Because it's a cumulative effect. It adds up.
Yeah.
And, I always talk about people have a hard time tracking the deals they don't make.
Right.
So, not from a closing ratio standpoint, but it's the what happened. So great, I can say you closed 30%. So 70% didn't buy from you.
Right.
That didn't mean 70% didn't buy.
Right.
Now, a subset of those people may have kicked the can, but you don't know that, right? You don't get, there's no pager. You don't get an alarm that goes off. Wee, 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 wee. Customers in somebody else's showroom or building or wherever making a purchase.
Right.
The people at Lowe's don't know when the customer's at Home Depot, because they went there instead to do whatever.
Or the local Ace Hardware store.
Right. Sure. Or whatever, the medical practice or the consultant or the 100%. That type of thing.
Yep.
Because most people have competition.
Yes.
Right. There's just a rare. It's very rare, Cory, we're the only people that do what we do or make what we make. Now, you might say that from a bravado standpoint. You might believe that I have no competition.
Right.
You may believe that idea, for your own purposes, but, it's not true.
Well, and in a global economy, which we live in now, it's really hard to be the only game in town.
Well, and I will say, I say that, but I will say I did tell somebody last week when they were talking to me about the concept of an RFP, and I'm like, you can do an RFP. I'm pitching a piece of business that they're like, well, this is something we may, based on the amount, we may have to bid it out. You don't mind competition, do you? And so my statement was, I'm really fine with the competition. No one does this the way we do it. So, so I said, what I do have a problem with, though, is the idea that you would build your RFP based on what I'm telling you I'm going to do for you.
Right, 100%.
Right, so it's a little unfair.
Right.
Like you're given the playbook,
Right.
right? The things you're going to ask for in the RFP
Right.
are the deliverables that I'm telling you I'm going to do for you,
Right.
which would be different than what you would put in your RFP.
Right.
So, you know,
100%.
so let's not do an RFP.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that we came up with some more creative ways to structure the deal.
Good. Okay.
That may keep it out of procurement.
Right. There you go.
Shout out to the good folks in purchasing and procurement at corporations across the country.
Yeah.
Good folks that will grind you in the dust.
Right. Yeah. Well,
All right. So let's look. I'm going to. So here's what we're going to do. So we don't belabor because there's a lot of points here.
Sure.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you the whole list.
All right.
Of the reasons why they fail to do it typically.
Okay.
I'm going to knock that out.
All right.
And then we'll push the dialogue on solutions.
Okay.
Because if we point and counterpoint to every, whatever. All right. So here are the top reasons.
Okay.
Number one, lack of a system.
Okay.
So just the pure idea that, they're relying on memory or sticky notes and all the things on my desk. I'm what you'd call a hybrid, and I believe in a little bit of both. So, so they lack a system. Maybe they're not using a structured CRM, or really just don't have a follow-up process. They meet a customer, they talk to a customer, they take a phone call, they get a lead or whatever, and then kind of it's subjective.
Sure.
I had a guy work for me one time, and this your follow-up looks inconsistent. He's like, I kind of have a pulse on when we should follow up. Yeah. Okay. Number two, time constraints. So you alluded to this earlier, right? Just the sheer fact that busy owners are often focused on operations,
right?
So if you don't have the luxury, if you don't have the luxury of a sales team and you're involved in that process,
right?
Fear of being annoying. So this is more to me a lack of training and understanding about the sales process.
Right.
If that's I don't want to be a pest.
Right.
Okay, good. You know who's getting the deal? The pest.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't have anything to worry about there.
Right.
So fear of being annoying, not understanding its importance.
Okay.
They assume if a customer's interested, they'd reach out again on their own.
Right. Because customers have nothing else to do.
Right. So what I got a few more, but what are your thoughts on those points?
So the fear of being annoying is really an ego thing. And I've really spent a lot of time thinking about that. It's, I don't want to be perceived. It's not, I've got something that can make this customer or client's life better. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't want to be perceived as pesky or annoying. You're really making it about how you feel about this engagement instead of understanding that you are the best possible solution for somebody.
Right.
And unless you get them at a time where they're ready to engage, then all you're doing is feeding your own ego. Well, it doesn't feed your wallet, but it feeds your ego for sure. So I think people that, and you talk about combine that a little bit with sales training, is understanding human behavior and understanding people. People have a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
So if you don't continue to engage with them, again, I talk about timing and frequency. Frequency increases the likelihood that you get timing right because you're going to get them at the time that they're ready, but they're not always ready, and you don't know that.
Well, and there is a balance, right? So you do have to have some structural idea. I remember somebody that we were work prospecting, and they moved the meeting they changed the meeting 5 times.
Okay.
Over like 6 months.
Yeah.
6-7 months.
Okay.
Set a meeting, cancel a meeting.
Right.
There was always something.
Right.
But finally I just said no.
Right. Well, you decided your time was worth more than theirs. Right.
Yeah. No more scheduling meetings that are going to get canceled. Like,
right.
You do what did Bush say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you can't get fooled again.
Right.
So they said no. So from my perspective, okay, great. Something happens. Something goes on. Once, twice, 3. Now we're going into 5, 6 times.
Right.
I will never be this project will never become a priority.
Correct.
But politely, if it does, you know how to find me.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe had I continued to play this game, finally would have got a meeting and finally. But the other thing too is with dependency on what you do and what the product service offering is, this behavior is also an indication. So if you're in the world like we're in, client services, professional services, having a client who exhibits that type of behavior could be a sign that the engagement could be problematic also.
Well,
when the church say amen.
That's a perfect one.
Well, it's been on to that.
Yeah,
like
he's locked
crystal
in.
clear. I think he tightened up some things.
Yeah, he's locked in.
All right.
And yes, so sometimes the ones you have to work the hardest for are the ones that create the most work for you.
Right, sure.
And so is what you're saying. The other thing about timing, though, and I go back to, I worked in surgical sales for a long time, and I go back to timing about when you have these conversations. And so I sold surgical products, and we sold shoulder products, and we sold knee products. And so if I'm standing at a sink getting ready to go into a shoulder surgery with a surgeon, it does not make sense for me to introduce a new knee product while he's thinking about something else.
Right.
But if we're going into a knee surgery and we're going to have a conversation about a solution for knee, that's the right timing. So that's what I talk about timing as well. Is
you should like, doc, I got something here that maybe if that's not going the way you want, you want me to come in there, bring it in? It's still I can do that. Leave them under a little longer. Let's see if we want. Let me bring my brochure into the clean room. Let me bring the brochure and let's see which one you like.
Right, exactly.
Like coming in with like a Girl Scout cookie menu. I can come in with that.
All right, so
I can see you all gloved up. Excuse me, Doc. I would do this differently if I were you. I got something in my bag that could help. That's what LG was doing.
Point being to bring it back around is that, you're right, find the right balance. Do you try 3 or 4 times, person exhibits behavior that continues to give you the Heisman, then maybe they're not worth your energy and effort. Maybe you spend that time, energy, and effort on somebody else who's expressed more engagement.
Well, and that's the trick. And you know what? I think for the business owner, this is such a mindset-related issue.
100%.
If your primary responsibility is selling, then that's part of the game that is part of your process.
Right.
And I think small business owners look at follow-up differently.
Okay.
Because they're not permanently in that mindset.
Sure.
So,
I get that.
So it's almost like, I started this year, one thing I said to my wife is, I'm only fooling with people who are fooling with me.
Yeah, good.
Like, we look at a lot of effort that you take to like reach out to people and this, that, and the other, and people don't reciprocate. Like I was saying that more personally, like look back at all the things that like my wife and I will do to reach out, whether that's sending cards to people or recognizing people's birthdays or different things, and then you don't get that back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not putting out all this energy anymore. Right. So, if you didn't text me happy birthday last year, adios, amigo. Like I don't want to take that ever. So I think that the business owner also has a shorter fuse for that, where it's par for the course if you're in business development, if you're an SDR rep, sales development rep, that's you're out there cultivating, you're popping 25, 30 LinkedIn requests a day, or you're doing that becomes part of the process. Right. But otherwise, it's now like exactly that. Well, I sent 3 emails. Obviously, they're not interested.
Right.
But if you're, there's a few deals I'm pursuing right now that I'm working all angles.
Yeah.
I haven't got the response yet, but I see, they're opening emails, they're doing this, they're clicking on things. I'm going to keep working the angle. Here's another angle until you get that hot button, or you try to get right on that situation there. Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, and going back to, as we talk to business owners and leaders in small businesses, the reality of it is that, and we'll talk about ways to do better, but you've got to create a plan and a structure, and you've got to put it on your calendar and do it regularly. Right. So that it becomes part of your habit. Because if you don't, there's a fire to put out. Yeah. There's somebody that's got a problem. There's a client situation. There's somebody in HR that's coming to you with a problem that you got to resolve. And the reality of it is if you don't structure time for this, you'll never get to it.
I picked this up from Grant Cardone years ago. He says, it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
If you meet a prospect, client, whatever you want to call, Cory, you want to call them prospects, whatever. You know what I'm saying. I don't have time for the nomenclature conversation about whether they're future clients or prospects, or I like when apartment complexes do that. Future resident parking.
Oh, yeah.
Just put in my mind it's programming. But he says, if you generally know and know that you have or you can help a prospect, or your product and solution will help a prospect, it is your responsibility to do everything you can to make sure they get your product or service.
Well, and I've heard, Dr. Del Toro say this too. He goes, if you know somebody has a headache and you got aspirin in your pocket,
right?
Are you going to keep the aspirin so that they keep the headache?
Right.
Or are you going to give them something to solve that headache?
Yeah.
So all of them
always
are
good stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah. All of them are good.
Yeah. I mean, so not understanding his points. Okay. Next, forgetting to prioritize warm leads.
Yep.
So focus purely on new leads while neglecting ones who already showed early interest.
Correct.
Lack of proper tracking.
Yeah.
So no automation, no real process. In the CRM, it will prompt you automatically to follow up in 3 days.
Right.
It's like, dude, just click the button.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? No follow-up content strategy. So, and this is the big one. This is one I used to train on with car dealers because that's an area where follow-up matters. We tracked and knew that, we could show a huge, significant spike in the closing ratio if a customer submitted a lead in the 45 to 90-day window, needing to follow up. So we used to have I developed a methodology called 722, 7 days, 2 weeks, 2 months.
Okay.
And it was just an optimized strategy on maximizing closing ratios from new leads that worked very well. But I would always tell salespeople in trainings that the number one reason why you don't follow up is you run out of things to say.
Right. Yeah.
How many times? Oh, just checking in. Oh, I'm just checking in.
Right.
Oh, just following up. Oh, just checking in.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, what am I going to go say that again? So not having that strategy beyond checking in.
Right.
Have you made any decisions yet, Lon? Just checking in. How are things going?
Right.
You ready now? Good. Come on, buy something. And what I used to always say is, in you've heard the term "come to Jesus" meetings, right? And that was very common in the auto industry. And what I would always illustrate is that that stress is transferable.
Oh,
so what you'd hear on the phone is, I know when I would listen to salespeople phone calls, call tracking, and still do that today with clients, but auto specifically back then, and I knew when somebody came out of a "come to Jesus" meeting.
Oh.
I'd look at calls at 10:30 a.m. on a Friday, after the sales meeting.
Okay.
And you could hear the elevated tension in the person's voice.
Oh, sure.
Oh, just call and see, we've got some appointments available on Saturday. We've got some end of the month deals. I think you need to take advantage of it.
Right.
Or you get somebody on the phone. I heard a guy, the customer said on the other end, said, oh, yeah, we thought about it. We're going to be holding off. He said, oh, okay. How long are you going to hold off? They said a year. He screamed, a year in the phone.
Lord have mercy.
Because what he was really saying was, a year, don't you know I just came out of this meeting and I got to get appointments and deals in here immediately or I'm going to lose my job later? Are you crazy? A year? Right. You've been wasting my time for all this time. You better get in here and buy a car.
Right. Well, there's two problems with that. One is it reeks of desperation for sure.
Yes.
And you can smell desperate.
But what do they say? The poo-poo travels downhill,
That's right? That's
we
right.
keep it E here, but the poo-poo travels downhill.
It smells desperate, one. Right. And two, it means you don't have enough in your pipeline. It means you don't have enough. You don't have the next call to make because you're relying on that call. So, but.
Right. And you came out of a "come to Jesus" meeting.
And you came out of that.
We're going to make that a "come to Jesus." Make that something there. All right. So no follow-up content. Right. Failure to leverage multiple channels.
Yes.
So I've got a buddy, tech CEO, fast-growing company, text message. He says, forget the phone. Now his whole business is text message, so I understand why he drinks his own Kool-Aid. But text message, engagement, text engagement. So it's leveraging multiple channels.
Right.
So that's why, we always will try to collect a cell phone number.
Yeah.
Right. You can't book an appointment on our calendar, on my calendar, without a cell phone number.
Right.
So, which is going to be used, it's not going to be used just for appointment confirmations.
Right.
It's going to be used to communicate post conversation.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And I can't tell you how many deals are accelerated that way.
Right.
From getting buy-in or commitment, checkout, right? Sending the link instead of chasing the invoice,
right? Dropping
that payment link in a text message.
Yeah.
That's a mobile-friendly checkout experience.
100%.
Accelerates. We had a guy that was like, "Oh, I'm headed out to dinner, and I'll take care of this. I'll get to take care of it tonight or tomorrow."
Right.
I don't want to hear that. Right. So fine, but I just sent him the link.
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Well, it's an easy checkout experience. Here's the link."
Right.
And then he did it in 15 minutes before the dinner, before all the things he was going to do to put it off.
Well, because you made it easy for him to do that.
Correct.
100%.
He had to go look into his invoice, get in front of his computer. So there's just reasons to. Now, you can only do that if you're already connected in the experience.
Right.
If I did not have his cell phone number, and I said, "Oh, well, give me your number. I'll get, oh no, well, I'll get to it." Like you create, but I already had it, so it was a smooth transition. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, you say you've already gotten the engagement.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is multiple channels.
Right.
That's one channel.
Correct. So calls, emails, SMS, social media. I mean, we've got a client right now that we're in the middle of building a website for him, and we talk mainly through Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Like, I send him emails,
right?
But generally, I know if I need to get him quickly, I'm going to pop in Facebook Messenger, and then he's going to get right back because he's active on that space based on what he does. So, assuming a no is final, people don't realize that many no's are really just not right nows.
100%.
And then finally, not automating the process. So relying purely on manual follow-up rather than having, sequences or technology built in to do it. And particularly when you're trying to do volume. All right. So we talked about those common reasons. Let's flip the script. So now we'll do basically, if you guess, we're going to do the opposite of what we said the problem was. So number one, CRM.
Yes.
Now, I want to say that, so it's very interesting to me because this is something I am challenged by.
Okay.
Because you and I always say, Lon, we're not here to be anybody's gurus. We're not, that's not our deal. We've got some experiences. We've had some successes. We've learned some things that really we're passing on and want to create some conversations. So many times I have an issue where I assume a lot of people know a lot of stuff already.
Right.
Because I think everybody knows it. Like, you're a business owner, don't have a CRM.
Right.
So if you have a CRM, great. If you don't, that's a necessity. We have, if you go to our website, we have a products we like section, CoryMosley.com, where we talk about some of the ones that we use personally in our business or have used. But I would encourage you, if the idea of CRM is nothing new, don't tune this part out. I would challenge you to reevaluate if you have the right system.
Right.
If you have the right CRM, does your CRM have the right capabilities, for the modern world, for modern communication? Can you text within the system, or do you have to go out of it? Can you do payment links to accelerate that? Or are you still relying on, on invoices or having to email invoices?
Right.
Do you have sequencing? Can you build a 12 or 15 week email sequence to cultivate, right? So I would suggest that you examine, if you have one, is it old, antiquated?
Right.
Are you using it at its maximum potential? When's the last time you've gotten training or looked at what's new on it?
Well, and I'm going to jump in on this one and to say this. A great way to approach this is make a list of all the things you'd like that CRM to do for you. Mm-hmm. Identify if the one that you have can. And if you're not utilizing, if it can and you're not utilizing it, get the person who sold it to you, or get their support system or their customer service system involved so that you can maximize it. But understand what you want it to do first, and then you can compare it to, do you have the right system or do you need to look at something else? Because that's a great thing, is being able to utilize it and maximize it, but you got to understand what you want it to do.
Maybe this guy can help me. Now, I'm going to tell you, I just got the most interesting, because I have the internet. No. This is very interesting.
Right. Perfect time.
And this is very creative. Now, I don't know if this is a scam. I got to look through it here to determine if it's a scam. But this is really slick. So I just got a PayPal.
Okay.
Someone just sent me 2 cents.
Okay.
And the read is, they saw, this is about our content. They saw our content on LinkedIn yesterday and had to send you my 2 cents.
That's pretty cool. That's very creative. Yeah.
Isn't it? Now, it looks like, what are they selling? They're selling, okay. So they're selling me, they're trying to sell some kind of something relative to the podcast.
Right.
Share how it works, our 2 cents, 15 minutes this week to see how the product works. That is very creative, though.
Yep. They get an A for effort on that one.
Now, I'm going, when we get offline, I mean, I'm going to at least click on the website and see what it is they do and see what it is.
Out, right.
That is a very and it only cost them 2 cents.
Right.
I might be stealing this.
There you go.
This is very interesting.
Well, and we talked about this before too.
But here's the kicker. No, hold on. I'm thinking about it. Unlike a cold email, this came through PayPal.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So it's a PayPal notification that the company sent me 2 cents.
Okay.
I'm guaranteed to open that email.
Right.
I mean, I'm guaranteed to look at it. And I don't use PayPal a lot, but we get some affiliate stuff that it pays out through PayPal. So unlike an email that will go to spam, because PayPal, Zoom notifications, stuff from your bank does not go to spam.
Right.
It's guaranteed that I'm looking at this. This is very, we used to do this with direct mail. We would use like UPS looking envelopes.
Oh, sure.
Or that type of thing, because people will always open those. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your point.
Well, the UPS envelopes, I still use the post office envelope sometimes too. At an office for some information.
Official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this before with the March
LG's the guy that go in, he go in Eddie Murphy style, like in Beverly Hills, like going like he's delivering something. He's really trying to pitch you though. He walk in there with something like, oh, I've got a
like flowers.
Yeah, is the whoever the decision maker you're trying to get to is. He's going, oh, I've got a delivery for Dr. Jack Johnson here.
Right.
Oh, I can take it. No, it says it has to be signed by him. Oh, well, Dr. Johnson's a package for, hey, Lon Graham. I got knees and elbows stuff for you. Sorry I pulled you out of surgery.
Well, we talked about the March of Dimes thing. That was the premise on that was to increase engagement. They'd send you a dime and you felt compelled to at least participate.
Yes. That's very creative, my 2 cents. Yeah. And that's cheap. Now, I got to figure out how they found my PayPal. See, now I got to get into nuances of it. But look, now I'm talking about it. I want to figure it out. It's interesting. And if the product's interesting, I'll take a pitch.
Sure.
Mine's like an umbrella, works better when it's open.
That's absolutely right.
And that's how most people, listen, you can't look at everything. I mean, and I say this as somebody who does cold outreach. Right. So like, of course, I want everybody to be more open-minded about listening to a pitch. Right. But if it's something that's remotely relevant to you, you might want to do it. I understand you can't spend all your days doing that, but that is an important factor to not simply have the blinders on to, certain things. Right. I think that's important. All right.
Good.
All right. Using CRM, automation. So putting that all together, right? Your CRM tools should allow you to do things like automating email, automating sequences, these types of things. And again, it's important that you turn these on. We're opening our Pecan Jack's brand, and we've started opening franchise stores, and we're telling everybody you got to go. Square is our franchise, our provider for the franchise. Okay. So the franchisees all use Square in the retail locations. You've got to turn those capabilities on. Text messaging, thank yous, going for reviews. Like it's one thing that your system has it. Right. You've got to use it. Right. You've got to go in and set it up. Right. When people come, thanking them, sending the thank you email, sending the text, getting the reviews, from that. You can build your reviews so fast.
Especially with a new franchise unit.
Yeah. So it's just very powerful. You got to do it. And when we're opening these stores now, some of the pre-opening campaigns are generating 600, 700, 800 people on the list in the community already. Right. That's going right into their system. So now you got to do something with that. It can't just sit there and linger.
Nurture
so
that for sure.
Yeah, so it's important. Video.
Yep.
Video messages, personalized video messages. There's a lot of services out there now. Loom, Bonjoro, Video Ask. There's a lot of different ones that allow you to do that. So short personalized videos.
Right.
Another thing that creates more access to follow over people listening to your message.
Right.
You got chatbots now. We've just launched. We just launched on one of our clients, which is a moving company.
Okay.
We've launched a chatbot now that will answer some of the common questions.
Good.
With the goal of making their phone calls more productive.
Right.
Versus people, oh, what are your hours? Where do you move? Now we encourage, we're driving traffic to the website. Now people can ask that question there.
Right.
And then, so just not I guess so much for a follow-up, but now there is a lead capture element to that too.
Right.
Capturing leads so someone can get back to you and then now following through on that.
Well,
so,
and I'll add to that, Cory, too. When you use the chatbot, it becomes a filter, right? So what ends up happening is by the time people get to you, they're more qualified.
Right.
So you now know that you've got people that are engaged by the time, especially in a moving situation, because those are often once every 5 to 8 years.
Right.
So if somebody's looking for a mover, they're probably moving.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. And also, if you are that small business owner who's wearing multiple hats,
right,
you want efficiency tools. So like, one of our CRMs is HubSpot. Okay. Within that, they have a, open email tool.
Oh, yeah.
It's not 100% perfect in predicting the open, but when it does tell you, so when it does work,
right,
it's true.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of, like Apple Mail, you can open it, it doesn't trigger. So the way they trigger the code is not 100% accurate. Right. But when it does tell you someone did it, so how amazing is that from an efficiency standpoint to now see somebody, so an email pops up now, that an email was open, it's 11, whatever.
Right.
Now, guess what? How about a phone call in 20 minutes?
Right.
Hey, notice you took another look at the proposal, the presentation, or the video I sent you. Were there some questions that I can answer?
Oh, right.
So now it makes you more efficient.
Yeah, and online retail outlets are really good at that. Because I'll go look at something, like I'll get, I bought something, they send me here's 20% off your next order, so I'll go and look and see if there's anything I want to use it on.
Right.
Well, hey, we noticed, 30 minutes later, hey, we noticed you were looking, still interested.
That's right.
Similar concept. And if I'm looking, then I'm not mad that they're sending me a note.
That's right. And if you are mad, I guess you weren't going to be a customer anyway.
Right. Unsubscribe.
I'm never going to apologize, particularly with the quality of products and services I believe we offer. I'm not going to apologize for making sure you know. And what's remarkable, because we're too, a lot of times we're too emotionally invested.
Okay.
The feelings of like rejection and all these different things, because who doesn't give a darn and will follow up with you overseas workers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Those guys in India,
they're hungry.
Those guys they don't play games.
Right.
You tell them, because I'm constantly getting pitched optimization stuff or whatever. You know what? Check back with me in a month.
Right.
Sir, is now a good time? How about now? Oh, you know what? Give me a few. Give me a few weeks. How about, why don't we get started? Let's get started now. They don't play.
They don't. No.
They are going to follow up until you tell them to go pound sand.
That's right.
And most people can't handle that.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. Rejection. It's a RDS. Somebody, you look that up later. It is a real thing.
Right.
A rejection syndrome. So.
Well, and it's, we talked about it before, right? That's part of the ego piece.
Yes. Well, you know what makes it easier too? If you follow up with value, not just checking in. Well, so if you get past the "Are you interested?" but now you have a value proposition built in there, right? That will make your follow up a lot easier, because what will happen is people will be obligated to then address whatever it is, right? So, hey, I saw this article about XYZ, thought of you, sending it off.
Perfect.
Thank you. And oh, by the way, because now I feel obligated. Oh, we hadn't made any decisions yet, but I think we're getting closer, or whatever the story is, right?
Right.
Now it's that obligation.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing too, and going back to your card sales
Right.
coming out of the Come to Jesus meeting.
Yep.
One of the problems that people have with follow up is they unload everything in the first engagement. And so you try and tell people everything about what
Right.
you have to offer. And
Right.
most people can't process that much information
Don't get
anyway.
naked right away.
Right. Well, exactly.
That's why the lingerie business booms, right? I mean, the end result, we know what the end result is, but
right. But we're gonna call it bait, right? Give them something
yeah,
to
sure.
engage,
Right.
And then now you've still got other things to share as you continue to go through this follow-up process.
Right.
One of the challenges is if you unload everything, if you unload all the information that you have, first of all, you scare them off. And second of all, they're not going to remember anything. And third of all, you've shot all your bullets, so you got nothing left to follow up with, which is why you don't want to follow up.
Voice. Wait to see if Willie H can give you some. I felt the lead up there.
Right.
Yeah. Willie H, let me commend you. Since people claim that I give you a hard time, let me commend you today. I think you've been on point. Also, I'm loving the quality.
Yeah, quality's great.
I'm thinking some things have gotten reworked there, or he's just using the ones that he knows sound good already.
Right.
So
there you go. Yeah, quality is good today.
Yeah, look at him clapping for himself.
There you go.
Little narcissist over there. All right. So now at the beginning we talked about these stats, right? So I'm a logical guy. I consider myself to be logical, pretty black and white, trying to stay out of the gray areas. Sure. So we shared some stats earlier that average people give up after first time. Right. It takes 3 to 4 times to get there. So this should be a logical step right here.
Okay.
The idea of implementing a 3 to 7 touch point follow-up strategy. So if the studies are showing things like 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups, it would then make sense at its most basic level that you have a follow-up plan that addresses 3 to 7, so past the 5 touch points.
Correct.
So that you have a structured approach to rate. Now, and this is not, people used to come up to me if I was doing a long-term engagement, like I might visit a store, over 6 months, 7 months, and inevitably somebody would come up to me, oh, Cory, I tried that thing you said a couple weeks ago and it worked. And it's almost as if they wanted me to be shocked.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I'm glad that worked for you. Right. But I'm not surprised. Like, I wasn't unsure when I said it.
Right.
I didn't say, hey, try it.
Try and tell me what you think.
I one of the dealerships had a predominantly Latin customer base.
Okay.
And I remember one of the salespeople laughed when we came up. She said that thing. Oh, she said, oh, that worked great. They're great. On the white people. Not so much Spanish, but worked on the white people. I said, well, okay. That's one more white person you sold. I helped improve your closing ratio with white people.
Good, right. Exactly.
I'll take it. All right. What are your thoughts before we get out of here?
I think the biggest thing is that as a business owner, as a leader in an organization, you are busy. And if you want to grow your business, again, I go back to the very beginning. We're talking about ways to grow your business. And the way to grow your business is to increase sales. If you want to grow your business and you're going to increase sales, you have to schedule these follow-ups in your calendar because, and I have a saying, if you're always putting out fires, you're the fuel. So.
Oh, hold on. Hit that man with something. Huh? I like. Bingo. Yes. That was good, LG. I like that.
Yeah, I say that to sales leaders all the time. If you are always putting out fires, you're the fuel.
You're the fuel.
And and what happens is you continue to feed those fires, and they continue to come back to you with all their problems.
Look at LG earning his pay today. Look at that.
So I say that's thank you.
Yeah.
And I say, though, that's also true of business owners. You've got to create time and protect that time like it's your life. Yeah. If you want to grow your business, if you want to sell more, this follow-up, because the people that you're following up with are people that you've already engaged with.
Right.
And so stay engaged with them. But the only way you're going to do that, the only way you're not going to give it up because somebody called you because there's a fire out there, is by scheduling it and protecting that time and doing it regularly.
Yeah.
And you better believe it.
All right. I'm going to end the show before, so Willie H can have a good record, could have like 100% hit record today here.
Yeah.
Folks, it's important to your business.
Yeah.
Follow-up has to be part of the fabric of what you're doing. None of us are perfect with it. We have some people that, we recently re-engaged that, I think we missed a few opportunities because there was a too big gap. I mean, it's like, oh, why didn't you, call me? But that's not their responsibility. Your customer's responsibility is not to call you.
Right.
Their responsibility is not to follow up with you. It's your responsibility to follow up with them if you genuinely want to get your product and service in front of them. So you got to figure it out, make a way. Hopefully we've given you some tips and tools here. We do talk about this also in Position for Growth, which get your copy. Audible's coming soon. People have been on me about that. So Willie H and I will be sitting down to get the Audible done so we can get that out.
Yeah.
Space out the excitement a little bit,
Yeah.
Bring back reading. Good old fashioned hold the book, smell those pages,
Right, writing notes on
Yeah,
them
exactly. Write the notes on it, highlight.
Right.
Beat it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Resell it. I'm after you, folks. I'm after you. Anybody I see on the you keep my book in your shelves for years to come.
Well, the best way to encourage them to keep it
is
for them to order it from the website so that you'll sign it them.
Yes.
And then it's harder to resell if their name's on it.
It's like I can't put my shirts that say Cory. I don't donate those generally in there. I mean, although they're nice shirts, so somebody might want to go around and say that's their nickname.
Depends on your situation.
Lamont, I didn't know your name was Cory. When did it become Cory? Oh, that's
what they call me.
That's what they call me. All right, we're getting out of here. This has been another episode of the Grow Business Podcast. We appreciate your listenership. Make sure you're checking us out everywhere you love to get your podcast. Also on YouTube and CoryMosley.com. On behalf of myself, LG007 Lon Graham, and Willie H., we will see you next time. Willie H., take us out. Oh, that one went up.
Yeah.
Follow up.
And I mean, we both sell every day, and we still miss opportunities to follow up. I mean, that's the reality of it, is that you're never going to be 100%,
right?
But you can get better, and by getting better, you sell more.
Yeah,
that's really the bottom line.
That's right. And it's tougher. It is truly tougher for business owners. So they got to wear those hats, but they got to realize that they still got to touch them.
Well, if they want those hats to matter, they better keep
reach
selling.
out and touch somebody.
Yeah, that's thanks for saying that about Jim. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like I didn't meet him, but we were engaged on LinkedIn and presented it to us at one time. Yeah.
Sad day.
Yep. Happens to us all.
Yeah, eventually.
Someday. Right.